First one that I remember distinctly was after the 5 years, the first 5 years of the practice. I had a whole set of people that I had groomed and brought to a certain level to run offices and to run verticals, exit the firm. So for most of them, in fact all of them, the practice was their first job. And they had come in straight out of college and joined the firm. And we had a wonderful 5 years, but of course in 5 years we'd become a firm which had about 18 people and close to 12 clients. So it was almost like starting all over again with 18 people and 12 clients. That was a major challenge because we are a services business. Clients get used to people servicing them. And so it was almost like retraining the entire firm to take up client servicing and manage the business. That was one. Of course, 2012 again, we reached a point where we had scaled quite a bit, and we reached a stage where I told my team that I didn't recognize the practice because we had compromised quality for scale. So while we were still growing, the kind of work that we were delivering was not up to the mark, and I personally felt that we were kind of stagnating as a firm and as professionals who could deliver a lot more. So we went through a whole restructuring and revisioning exercise in 2012. Where we drew up a Vision 2020 and set clear goals for ourselves as to what we would do as a firm. And of course, most recently, yet again, we had leadership exit the firm. That means 3 people at the helm of the practice quit. And I had taken a sabbatical 5 years ago, trying to explore what I could do next. And therefore was not involved in client servicing. I didn't have a client-facing role at all. Now with the exit of these 3 leaders about 5 months ago, I had to come back and get back to doing that all over again. So getting the firm back in its place, motivating the people, assuring the clients that all would be well. I think this has been my biggest test so far. It's tough. I'll be very honest with you. In the first instant, I thought I'm going to give up. These were 5 people who had started their career with me. And when I started the firm, I had all of 6 years of work experience, 7 years of work experience. So in many ways, I too was a bit of a novice in what I was doing. And 5 years, we had grown the firm together. And so there was a deep sense of disappointment. And I think I took it very, very personally at that time. So it was, but for, my then husband, who was absolutely clear that you should not close the practice and you should continue. I went ahead and I was very honest with my clients, and I wrote to all of them explaining what we were going through. And it was wonderful. Everyone supported the practice. Everyone said they'd had great experiences and there was no doubt that we'd bounce back. So yes, it was, acute disappointment, but then I think with support of, close family, I was able to kind of bounce back again. The second instance was more frustration. It was the fact that, when you're in the business, you fail to look at things objectively. And at some point, I think I was reviewing documents and I was seeing a lot of errors, and I said, is this really what I want to do? So there was a lot of frustration. There was, we were not what we were claiming to be. So in some ways there was a certain lack of integrity in what we were delivering. So that was the second. The third was purpose. When the more recent incident happened, it was not a surprise. I could see it coming, so I think mentally I was prepared for the big change. And so there was a very deep sense of purpose that, I knew how I could resolve the matter. I knew I had both the inclination and the mindset, the inclination and the wherewithal to actually manage the whole thing. That was more strategic. The way I handled the last bit was a lot more strategic. So it didn't have too much emotion at play. It was all about just getting the work done. So after a point, Jeev, I've stopped thinking of me as an entrepreneur. Because I feel that yes, in the beginning it was just me, my vision, my hard work. Today we have close to 100 people working at the practice across 3 offices, Delhi, Bombay and Bangalore. Yeah. And therefore I feel I've kind of, someone actually told me this. I was looking for a board of advisors and, he was more like a mentor to me, and he said that, if you as an entrepreneur are very, very clear about where you want to take the firm, then don't have too many advisors, because everyone comes with their ideas, but they don't know your business as well as you do. At some point though, you must move from becoming an entrepreneurial venture to becoming an institution. Okay. And over the last 5 to 7 years, I focused on making the practice more of an institution. Which meant that, I told you I took a sabbatical. That was really because I had a whole succession plan in place, and I announced that I was giving up my role as CEO and stepping back and having my team members who've been with the practice for 14, 15 years take on the leadership roles. Okay. So there were I appointed a full-fledged management team, and once that is done, my role was only to just pay attention to where the company was going from a financial perspective, from a services perspective, but I was not involved in the day-to-day. So that's what I would say, that I think our focus over the last few years has really been on how can we make the practice an institutional and move away from it being an entrepreneurial venture.
Okay, so that's actually a goal. That's a clear goal that you have.
That is a clear. Yeah, it should survive with or without. Okay. Right? It may carry the value systems and to a certain extent the vision that I have in place. But it has today 20 years of rich experience, yes, which should be able to propel it forward wherever it wants to go. So that's really the. I would say get good, rich, tough experience in your first 5 years of your career, okay, working with someone or working for someone. I do know there is this huge trend, and this is my personal view, Jeev, I know there is this new trend of people jumping straight from college into entrepreneurship. And of course, we've got so many examples of hugely successful entrepreneurs, from, Bill Gates to, who've done that, right? Yeah. College dropouts. For me personally, I think it was my first 6 years working at Genesis, the firm that I joined soon after my master's. That really gave me the experience, and I think it was very unique in the sense that I got so many opportunities there that I was able to really visualize where I would like to go with regards to my career. So I would say that the first 5 years of your career is very, very critical, and you've got to work hard and you've got to try and get the best. So be a self-starter. Reach out for any and every opportunity that comes your way. Work hard, work late hours, and start making your own decisions. Don't, in your initial years, don't, that's what I did. I didn't have too many people telling me what to do. I made my own decisions. Be it, within a year and a half, my firm posted me in Bangalore, and I was 25 at that time, so I decided to just jump into on a flight and move here. And I never allowed even my parents to tell me what to do, which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I shouldn't be telling you that, but I think in the first 5 years of your career is the most important, because it shapes you, that molds you, and take that rich experience that you get and move into whatever you want to do, whatever is your passion. Self-starter and being, self-motivated. One thing about entrepreneurship, it's a very lonely journey. Much as you may have family, friends, networks, etc. At the end of the day, it's your business and it is your decision, and you know that business best. And that can put you sometimes in a very lonely spot. Of course, it helps, it kind of puts you in the spotlight, it makes you get a lot of friends, your network of, professionals and all of that, but it is somewhat a lonely journey. To get that resilience, and to be able to make quick and fair decisions, I think this is important. Really, it's just that my mother, she was not working, she was a housewife, and she brought, I have two siblings, there are 3 of us, and she pretty much brought us up, single-handedly. So she was one of the most content people I have ever known, and I think I really draw inspiration from that contentment of not being overly ambitious, but and doing whatever she had within the means that she had. She did it exceedingly well. So I think, contentment and just doing your best within what you have, resources, time, and all of that. I think I took away a lot from that. Yeah, and I still apply that in whatever I do. So it depends, each challenge is very, very different. I think it's very important to be realistic. It's very important to be realistic. It's very important to acknowledge that there are times when you make the wrong decision. And, instead of always trying to think that as an entrepreneur, you've got to make the right decision. It's not possible, we're human. We do make wrong judgments. But it's important to recognize when you have made that wrong decision, and pull back, because at the end of the day, there's nothing bigger than the organization. So as long as the focus is on your business enterprise and where it should go, and how it needs to be nurtured. There are people working who are dependent for their salaries on you. I would say that pull back ego and be very focused on where you want to go, and it's always organization first. Totally. Logic, of course there is a place for it's my Aryaman, my son. I think he gave me one of the wisest pieces of advice. He told me, he says, there's no room for emotion in business, and then he corrected himself and he says, well, there's no room for sentiment in business. Okay. It's tough for me, because I do tend to bring in emotion. But having said that, I do see that, yes, there are decisions to be made. and you make that, but sometimes you do have to put yourself back, because at the end of the day, like I said, if you really want to make it an institution, you've got to take into account that it's teamwork. Yeah. And unless you listen to perspectives and opinions of people around you, you are definitely not going to do the best, because not one individual is the best. I'm a big believer in that. I think that if you don't listen to what others have to say, you're likely to trip yourself. Democratic, but not overly democratic, because that could be crippling. I've had instances when we've tried to be overly democratic, a decision is passed on, everybody's opinion is sought, and more often than not, I find that kind of stays where it is. Okay. So there has to be one decision maker, but that decision maker has to be able to, elicit points of view, and then make sense of it, and then finally make the decision. I may make the final decision, but it's never unilateral. Okay. Right? It is having, there are people I take advice from. There are, I have specialists in the firm, and I'll go to them and have a, kind of chit chat about what could be done, and then maybe I'll frame my own final decision and go with it. I did my master's in literature, so I read a lot, and I read everything and anything. I read from, thrillers to romantic trash to comic books to business to management books to newsletters, and I read a lot. But that's come down a little bit. It's a lot of business reading now. Okay. To understand the sectors and technologies and my clients are working. So any books that really inspired me? Not really, but what I did was, there's certain pieces of writing that I have loved, and I have tried to kind of bring that level of writing and articulation into the work that I do. Okay. So I've read a lot of literatures, I've read a lot of memoirs, and the kind of work that we do is also slightly intimate, because it's about working, it's about storytelling and building narratives for companies. Okay. So I've used and applied that, for my work. But having said that, there are several management books and autobiographies and things that I've read over the years, and there is always something you take away from everything that you read. But I'm not very good with making note of what I've read, and I'm not very good with that. But it's just that something comes up from somewhere. And I think as I'm getting older, it's books that I read on spirituality that I'm beginning to remember and apply more and more into the work that I do. It's not so much management, it's more the spiritual aspect. For anyone, I think reading is very important. It's I think one of the most beautiful ways in which you can learn, because it opens up your mind, it takes you to places that you may never even think of going, right? And now I'm not talking about physical locations. I'm talking about mental, emotional, intellectual journeys that you can embark on. And for me, reading is that. So you may put me into a little room and give me lots of books, and I'm not going to get restless, because it's a journey of the mind, and in many ways it's a journey of the being. So that's the way I look at reading, and for that I think anybody and everybody should read. Yes. Yeah. Today I hear that a lot of you have audible books and you have podcasts. Yeah. So I think there's such interesting ways in which reading is now being kind of repurposed into so many different kinds of content, videos, etc. Right? So I think it's just about exposing yourself to lots of things. things. But what reading does is, you know, it kind of helps you assimilate, it helps you understand how certain words come together to make powerful statements.
Yeah.
It helps you therefore increase your vocabulary and therefore speak better. I think those are some of the things that nothing can substitute reading.